Yet humanity has decided that every representative that would come, that would stand against that representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mock him, oppress him, disobey him, and even to the point of killing him. He said 124,000 of those representatives. And then after that, the successorship of all of the prophets, with Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam till the last Imam, Imam Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam. Yet if you look at history, all of the representatives had to face the same type of objections, the same type of problems. And it is a grave shame that the nation of the last and the best of the prophets happens to be in the same boat. The Holy Prophet has said that whatever Bani Israel went through, my nation is going to go through. Even if you could imagine that you could take a camel through the hole of a needle, even to that impossible, my nation is going to go through that. And we're no different than the Bani Israel of the past. We are the Bani Israel of the present. If you look at them, you will find ditto copies of that among us. If you find their scholars, their rabbis, their priests, you'll find ditto copies today. And it becomes very difficult to accept the fact that one of the representatives and the last of the representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be turning over 1,200 years. Years of loneliness, 1,200 years of frustration, of sadness. In front of the Imam of the time lies the bloodied dress of Imam Hussein. He watches that. He looks at each drop of blood. He looks at every hole in that dress. And he cries, wanting to know when it would be possible to take that revenge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained him for. When he looks around, what he sees is us. He will see IABA today and every other location that is going to be performing the A'mal, participating. And when he sees us, we know that we are not the ones who are worthy of his appearance. Our hearts have given to the love of everything other than the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You might think that this is a harsh statement, but it's not. The proof is that he's not here. If we were truly worthy, and we would have done something different than the nations of the past. If you go back to the birth of the Imam, you can go back 32, 33 generations. 32, 33 forefathers or generations, they did the exact same things that what we are doing today. If we had done anything different, the proof would have been that the Imam of the time would have been here. This concept of ours is not just a concept of ours, but it is a global thing. How many Muslims in the world? Jay? 1.6 billion. In the last, I think the stat I looked, it was in 2010. Could we round it off to 2 billion? Okay, argument's sake, 2 billion. How many Christians? They're always a little bit more. Let's say 2.2 billion, 2.3, 3 billion, okay. So 3 billion plus 2 billion, how many people are that? 5 billion. 5 billion people hold the belief of a Savior that is going to come and save humanity. How many in the world? About 7? Over 1 billion are Hindus. Over 1 billion are Hindus. And in Hindus, their belief is also that when darkness overtakes the world, when oppression fills it, there comes a man, there comes a person who is from the light and gives light to everyone that is in darkness. In Gita, they have a description of that person. How many people now? 6 billion. Over 6 billion. The Sikhs, approximately, I think, 20 million or so. The Jews, approximately 16, 17 million. And let's round it off to another billion. Even they also have the belief that in the end of days, Christ is going to be the heir, the government of God is going to be established, and Jerusalem is going to be the capital of it, and everybody is going to be ruled by God. True? I'm not saying anything which is not what it is in today's world. So approximately, if you were to take a look at the whole world and 7 billion people, 7 billion people have the same idea. That a Savior is going to come, save humanity, the darkness is going to fill the world, and humanity will be crying for that Savior. And then after the Savior comes, this world is going to change. That there will be no more oppression, there will be no more darkness, justice will prevail. Where the issue is that who this Savior is. The understanding of that Savior is such that divides humanity into those different creeds and nations. If humanity was to come together and have a scholarly discussion about that Savior, it would be enough for all of humanity to unite under that banner. Just a scholarly discussion. You bring your books, you bring all that you have, information, we bring all that we have, and everybody, the Hindus, the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, every single person on this earth, send their representatives, find a common ground, sit down, have a scholarly discussion, come to a conclusion. Why? Because we all believe in that. What we have done, sort of, is we think that Imam Zaman al-Islam is only coming for IABA, for example. Or he's only coming for India, or he's only coming for Pakistan, or he's only coming for Afghanistan, or Lebanon, or Iraq, or Iran. That's all. He's not coming for any of the rest of the... And we think that we are the only one that are waiting. We're not the only one that are waiting. Anybody of faith in this world is waiting for the advent of that Savior. Now, if this is what it is, and humanity, all of us have this belief, then why all of these differences? The differences are because of the understanding of the Imam. And where can you find the understanding of the Imam? As the dua of the Imam tells us, that he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, make me understand your essence. If you do not make me understand your essence, then I will not be able to understand the Holy Prophet. Or make me understand the Holy Prophet, and if I do not understand the Holy Prophet, what? I will not understand the Imam, and if I do not understand the Imam, what happens? Dalaltu an dini. So if any human being does not have the right understanding of the Lord of the worlds, if any human being does not have the right understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that human being is not going to have the understanding of the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a prophet. And that person is not going to have the understanding as a representative of the successors of the prophets. And what will be the end result? Dalaltu an deen. Then what you will find is people going astray in every single religion. But we have this sort of self-righteous attitude that we're not astray. We're okay. Right? If somebody was to ask you who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, what would we say? Do we have the ma'rifat of Allah? What did we say ma'rifat is? Yesterday we talked about ma'rifat is based on three things. One is knowledge, the other is action, and the third is emotions. An arif is that person who has the knowledge, the actions are exactly how the knowledge is, and with those actions the emotions of ishq is attached. Ishq is when you are completely, utterly in love unconditionally with somebody. No conditions. Do we have that? One of the poetries that was recited was in Urdu. I'll translate some of it. And I'm just giving the approximate translation. It won't be exact because I have to remember all that was said. But the theme was that we're calling on the Imam of the time. Our actions are something else and what we say is something else. We're calling upon the Imam of the time, but we have no preparation. We're asking him to come. We're saying that come, but when we look at our own actions, we're not giving khums, we're not giving zakat, we're not following the laws and the tenets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we're asking him to come. So what is he going to do? He's going to bring about the tenets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by which you and I have to live our lives. If a sister of mine cannot dress Islamically today, she will not be able to dress Islamically in the government of the Imam of the time. What is it going to be? You think that we are not, Imam is not aware of what we do? You know, sometimes when I go, I'll be passing by and the sister would have, for example, her hijab like this. As soon as she sees me, out of respect, which I appreciate it. But I think I'm just a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Creator is still watching you and hearing you and seeing you. He deserves more of a respect than a creation that is nothing. When I say to our brothers that, you know, at least have a face that looks like a Muslim. And it is wajib on us. It's not mustahab. And I have said it so many times that one of the brothers was saying, so just to make you a little bit feel lighter, one of the brothers was saying that, you know, I have to come see you, but I wasn't able to grow the beard. I said to him, just, you know, you can just go and buy a fake beard and you can come and see me. Because he was feeling a bit embarrassed to be in front of me without a beard. I'm still here tomorrow, so if you want to do that, you can do that. Well, it is just a step which is very easy. And you know why I keep on emphasizing on that? Because that step will tell you that this face of yours, this duty that you are performing, is showing you that you are committed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that now you're not 18 anymore. Every single white hair in that beard is taking you closer to death. And then whatever you have taken it as an honor of that tradition, which is wajib and obligation. And if you're going to have that, and you look at that in the mirror that you have it, then you're going to say, you know what, I should also take care of the rest of the obligations. How bad it would be that if I have this, but I do not take care of the rest. It's linked with so many things that's amazing. We still are not able to do the basic rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has. And when the Imam comes, what's going to happen? How are we going to face him? What are my sisters going to do? Fall and right, we'll put the hijab on. My brothers are going to find that and put it on. What are we going to do? We're calling upon him, but if he was to come, what are we going to do? If in my house there's all of the stuff that is there for, love and lab and everything, music and this and that is playing, and I've got all of the, recent technology, everything there for me to kill time. But Quran lonely is sitting on that shelf, wrapped up in that ghalaf, that cloth, sealed tightly, just waiting to be touched. While the PS4s and the Netflix and the DVD players and all of them are enjoying the airspace of our houses. Yet the airspace of our house is not worthy for the Quran to be recited. Now this is the night where you're going to be reflecting, because if you are going to do whatever the past generations have been doing, right, then maybe our trust should be in the children that are coming. And if the children are going to become a photocopy of ours, then you know what, this cycle is going to continue, and you can keep on saying Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal, but maybe for another 1,000 years, Imam won't be here. I think we do need some sort of reflection. We need to disassociate ourselves with all the emotions that we have attached with all of the traditions, which traditions are fine as long as they are in the circle of Islam. We need to understand that our forefathers protected a certain part of Islam which was necessary, and they gave even their lives and blood for it. And whatever that you have and I have has not come to us cheap. Behind having to be able to say Ya Ali, behind having to have the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, behind having this belief in the 12th Imam, there is a whole line of the blood trail that is of the Shuhada that have given their life so that this idea and mazhab stays protected and comes to the next generations. We need to recognize that Imam Hussain saved Islam. True? What is the price of the blood of Hazrat Ali Asghar? 1 drop. 1 drop. You take all of humanity on one side and the blood of Hazrat Ali Asghar on one side. 1 drop is not going to equal. Why Imam Hussain sacrificed himself and his family and the daughters of the Prophet became prisoners? For what? So Islam can be saved. So reality is that the ones who believe in Imam Hussain and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, to them Islam should be worth more than anything in this universe. And they should follow that to the dot, and they should protect it with their lives. Because that is the love of Imam Hussain that dictates that. True? But what we find is, there was a place that I was going to recite majlis, and bear with me. I had to recite a majlis, and the person who had asked me, he said that, Hassan, if you can talk about people not having drinks in their fridges. I was amazed. coming to the majlis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Imam Hussain Sallallahu saved Islam. Imam Zaman Islam is going to implement that same Islam onto the rest of humanity. And when you say that, nowadays specifically, and I'll just talk about that point because we do have the dua still to look at. When you say that the Islamic government is going to be established on the face of this world, everything just becomes odd now. Because there's a group of people that have been created to counter and to put this idea, and so that other people who have this idea can even denounce it. You guys get this group of people? This Islamic State, ISIS and so forth, has been created so that the idea of the establishment of the government of Islam on the rest of the world can be shown in such an ugly manner that nobody, even the people who believe in this idea, deny it, denounce it, and say that we are away from that. What kind of Islam? In Islam where Christians are, beheaded because you are a Christian. What kind of a religion would tell you when Islam in itself is saying, La ikraha fid din, there is no compulsion in the religion. You cannot tell somebody on the, gun on their head to become a Muslim. Lakum dinakum waliya din, your religion is for you, my religion is for me. We have a mutual respect as human beings. We are from the same forefather, same father and mother. You and I are together in brothers in humanity. At the time of Imam Ali, alayhi there was this event that happened, and because of this event, Imam asked all of his governors to be present. He had a meeting with them, and he said to them, I'm going to tell you a news that once you hear it, if you were to die because of a brain hemorrhage, it is that kind of ugliness. If you die, you will be dying on the truth. If you have a nervous breakdown, in our words, you would have died on the truth. And what was that news? The news was that a Jewish lady, from her feet, her jewelry was taken, snatched by force. Imam said that if you hear that in our government this happened, and you have a nervous breakdown because it is that ugly, you would have died on the truth. That is Islamic government. The government of Imam Ali alayhi for the 4 years and 9 months, that is the Islamic government. By which you have one island which has, been able to establish the laws of Ahlul Bayt al-Muslim in their country, where we should be proud of that. Instead of being proud of that, we become enemies of that. In the Islamic government of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every single human being's rights and lives are protected. Science and religion does not fight. Science becomes the tools for the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be shown, for the needs of the humanity to be fulfilled by the means, by the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, so that there will be no one who is poor. That there will be no one who would be hungry. That 1 billion people are now going to be living on 50 cents or $1 a day. Where 70% of the natural resources of human beings are now going to be used up by 25%. In the Islamic government of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the representative of that government goes out at night and feeds the poor regardless what their faith is. He sits down with them regardless what their faith is. He eats and sits down with the beggars and eats the same food as the beggars do. He does not have clothes and crown and, gold and silver hanging from his dress. He dresses where even the lowest class of citizen can look up to him and say, my life is better than his. Where no statuses are there. Just because you're a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, that you have a lot of money, that you become better than the rest of humanity. No. In the Islamic government, whoever is the most righteous, closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above the rest of you. What is our societies? Oh, मैं बेटी दूंगी तो बेटी दूंगी उसको के जो डॉक्टर है, जो lawyer है, जिसके पास पैसा है. I'll give my daughter to the person who has money, who is a lawyer, who is a doctor, who is an engineer, who has a big house, massive house and cars. So I'm going to give this daughter of mine to her, to him. That's not in Islamic government. That does not happen. In the Islamic government, in the Islamic environment, the person's faith and character is judged while giving the daughter. We are so much concerned about statuses that, when in back home somebody asks you, what do you do? Even if a person is working in the warehouse, putting the boxes here and there, they say, actually, I'm a logistic manager. Why? Because we are so status conscious. If the poor guy is going to tell them that I work in a warehouse lifting boxes, his whole family's honor is going to go down and nobody is going to give him a daughter. This is not Islamic. We have that all around us. I can give you many, many different examples. The Islam that we think that is going to rule the world truly is going to bring about peace and justice and, greatness for all. There's not going to be 80 people who are going to own the wealth of the rest of the world or half of the world. You know that? You know that? There are 80 individuals who own what 3.5 billion people own. Their bank accounts have the same amount of money, 80. Do the ratio of 80 to 3.5 billion. What kind of an injustice it is. All of this is going to finish. The Islam of Islamic State is not Islam that is going to be governing. It is going to be the submission to the true will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which brings peace. And we need to understand that. If we are trying to get ready for the Imam, then we have to have all of those things in us. ठीक है? No? You know how many arizas are going to be written today? You know how many letters are going to be written to the Imam of the time? Let's say there are 200, or the figures are anywhere between 200 to 400 million Shias. Okay? So for argument's sake, we say 200. If 50%, which actually are more, because I can see from this location, you guys were not here on Thursday, Friday, previously you weren't there, right? MashaAllah, we have a lot of people. So I'm sure that out of the 200 million people, at least 70 to 80% of the people are going to write an ariza. Okay, if that math is too difficult, we'll just say 100,000 letters are going to be posted in the rivers and lakes to the Imam. Guess every letter, what does it say? Please come. And then it also has the list of the things that you and I need. Meaning what? Okay, so if you're going to come, the price of gas has to go down. I should be able to get a nice job. My kids should be healthy. I should have enough wealth, and I should have, I don't know, like Imam reads those letters. I don't, but I'm just giving you a general idea. Imam is not coming so that, we can become more and more and more and more and more. In the initial phases, our lives are going to become difficult. And is it wrong to ask the Imam for us to have all of the things that you're going to write today? No, it's not wrong. But till when? It's already been 1,200 years. If you take a century, and if in 1 year 100,000 letters are posted, guess how many letters would be posted to the Imam of the time since Ghaibati Kubra? It's a massive amount. Let's start writing something different. Oh, Imam, I promise you that I will do such and such and such and such and such and such and such. And what is that such and such? You remember the dua we were talking about yesterday? One of the duas of the Imam of the time is for us. So he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us, and he also includes himself in it. And when you look at that dua, it tells you the personality of that person. When you hear somebody saying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can have a PS4, what do you think the hum or gham of that person is? PS4. And you can judge by that, there's probably a 16-year-old. Right? If it's a 30-year-old praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please give me a PS4, then there is something wrong. True? Like a 30-year-old would be maybe saying, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give me a wife. Then you know that a 9-year-old or 8-year-old is not asking for that dua. From the dua, from the hum and gham of a person, you can determine who and what is their worth of a person. Hum or gham pata aapko, From whatever goes through the minds of us, the thoughts of us, the desires of us, the wants of us, the things that make us upset is the worth and what we are. If I'm, worried about the $20 that came out of my pocket and I can't find it, guess how tall I am? Guess what my worth is? See? $20. Imam Ali ﷺ says that do not sell yourself short, do not sell yourself cheap, your worth is heaven. Not $20. I mean, what is 100,000 or a million or a trillion or 10 trillion versus heaven? What's the ratio? We sell ourselves so short. Right? So we said that this particular dua of the Imam has the responsibilities that you and I have. And we counted 11 of them. And before we start on it, I know you need some energy and so forth. So if you can recite a loud salawat, all of us, and that salawat intention is going to be that Imam Zaman hears it, and he has that hearing, which I told you yesterday, before you can hear your own self, Imam hears it. When he hears that salawat, there should be some emotions attached, whether it is of happiness, whether it is of remorse, whether it is of sadness, whether it is of regret, whatever. But with that salawat, you can ask or have Imam hear you. So, we counted 11 last time, but I think there's more. So I'll just go through the list and then we move forward, because we also have tomorrow too. Okay, so one of the responsibilities that we have is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for obedience, or be obedient. Okay? You remember? Yes, I'll just go quickly, okay? So one of the responsibilities to the Imam is the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. See? Is that grasped? If we don't pray our prayers, if we disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are not doing our responsibility to whom? To the Imam. Also, we are not doing our responsibility to whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who do we love more? We probably love Imam more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which is actually, there is a whole discussion about it, but even to that point, even if you love the Imam of the time more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your love for the Imam is no different than the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as long as you know that he is the representative and the authority of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the face of this earth. So, one, bu'd al-ma'siyah, to stay away from sins. Sidqan niyah, to have purity of intention. Guidance and forbearance. To be, when you speak, your speech is going to be with nobility and dignity, and no swear words and no these, right. And it's going to have wisdom, and your hearts, we're going to have our hearts filled with knowledge and with marifat. We're going to cleanse our stomachs, and we're going to be careful that haram and the things that are doubtful do not go inside of our stomachs. That's part of the responsibility with the Imam. And that our hands are refrained. We do not oppress anybody, and we do not steal. Okay? And our eyes do not see what we are not supposed to see. Okay? Our eyes do not see what we are not supposed to see, and our eyes are protected from khiyana, which is when you mistrust, right? When somebody gives you a trust and you don't take care of that trust, eyes are the trust of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I look at somebody that I'm not supposed to, I am doing a mistrust to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we had gotten to this point. وَاسْدُدْ أَسْمَعَنَا عَنِ اللَّغْوِ وَالْغِيبَةِ. So, this is the other responsibility that we have, that Imam is saying that, bar out or close our ears from laghv and ghiba. Laghv is something that has no purpose, useless talk. Useless talk. Anything that is useless without a purpose is laghv. We do that so much. Useless talk, Imam, responsibility, no here. Okay. Ghibat, don't hear. Every time we hear ghibat and we do ghibat, what are we doing? Right, we're eating the flesh of our dead brother. Every time you listen to music, what happens? Does anybody know? Yes, you're putting the hot iron rods in the ear. You can't feel that, no? But when the Prophet went on Miraj, this is what was in the other verse. And that music is also laghv, is pointless. There's no point to it. Literally, there's no point to it. And then he says, وَتَفَضَّلْ عَلَىٰ عُلَمَائِنَا بِالظُّهُدِ وَالنَّصِيحَةِ. And he says that, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give the ability to our ulama, zuhd, and to be able to give that advice which is implementable, which is nice, which is done in a very nice manner. Okay. So if you look at, I know that everybody just puts the blame on the ulama, which, granted, there are some people in the garb of the Holy Prophet which are actually not really alim, but they are projected that way because they have studied a few books, just like myself, and they have come up, and you now start calling them alim, so they become alim. Just because they are like that doesn't mean that everybody is like that. Just because I am bad doesn't mean that every alim is bad. True? But what is expected by the Imam is the criteria that you and I should have to call somebody an alim. This should be part of our criteria. If somebody comes and asks you and says to you, I'll just tell you one small thing. There's a lady speaker, she's very, very famous. She had recited like 10 majlises and she took $1,200 an hour. And then on the 11th or the 12th, they were just sitting and having dinner or lunch. It was a gathering, just informal. And somebody said to her, can you please recite something for us? She said, if you collect $1,200, I will recite it for you. And the ladies right away collected $1,200, gave it to her, and she started speaking about Imam Hussain. Is that zuhud? Is that to detach yourself from the world? And we listen to these people. We invite these people. We give respect to these individuals. We have no criteria of that. Zuhud. And how are the nasiha going to go into the hearts of people when they themselves have hearts that are filled with the love of the world? How is it going to go? When you look at one of our time's the greatest scholar, he lived in a rental house. He had the same shoes that he had probably for 20 years. He did not leave anything for his children. When he used to come and sit down on the minbar and say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, people's hearts would melt and they will cry. He did not live in a mansion. He did not have hundreds and thousands of dollars. He didn't have nothing of this world. What he had is a submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he spoke, hearts melt. A whole nation stood up. And we don't care about that. We have the same thing happens in Pakistan too. Same thing happens in England. Same thing everywhere. These individuals that are known to take money and a lot of money and dictate money, that are known among people, right? They bid on them. They bid on them. Somebody says, I'll give you, for example, I'll give you, for one majlis, I'll give you, for example, $2,000. The other one says, I'll give you $3,000. The other says, I'll give you $4,000. And whoever is the highest bidder, that person sells himself to that person. And then he comes and sits down on the minbar of the Holy Prophet and gives us nasiha and tells us about the Masa'ib of Imam Hussain and the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How is it possible that we can be that unaware that this is not the place for that person? Will we do that? You'll see it all over the place. Muharram is coming, you'll see it. وَعَلَى الْمُتَعَلِّمِينَ بِالْجُهْدِ وَالرَّغْبَةِ. And those people who are students, for them to struggle and to have the desire towards knowledge. So my brothers and sisters who are students, your responsibility to the Imam is you make sure that whatever degree that you are doing, you struggle hard and you become the best of the best and you gain that knowledge for the sake of the Imam. That's your responsibility. Imam is saying that. The students, no? وعلى المتعلمين بالجهد والرغبة وعلى المستمعين بالاتباع والموعظة. And for the listeners, so that is, I guess, us. Now the responsibility for the ones who are listening. مستمعين, those ones who are listening, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them ittaba wal maw'idha, for them to follow what they listen to and that they tell each other. Advise each other. And follow the advice and advise each other. Nasiha and maw'idha is a little bit different. Nasiha is between if we don't have very, maw'idha is when we have, we're not very close to each other, but I tell you to pray namaz. And nasiha is when we are close to each other and I tell you to pray namaz. If you heard that the Maulana said to have namaz, to read namaz, you go home and you tell your wife and your children and your father and your mother and your relatives that you are close to each other to pray namaz. Because you have a love relationship with them. If we say to somebody, we do mu'adha to somebody, mind your own business, by the way. It's none of your business. No, it is. Your business is my business. Why? Because if you're putting a hole in that boat where I'm sitting, if we're going to drown, I better stop you making that hole. If there are 2 people or 3 people who are making trouble in the center, they're all making, because of those 3 people, the whole center, the boat is sinking. It's our business. Right? You have a boat, somebody's like putting a hole in there, and then you tell him, Baba, stop. It's like, mind your own business. No. What about these little children? What about the youths? What about the elders who want to come? If the environment of that center is going to be corrupted with kina and boghd and anger and language that is not of a holy place, and the people's hearts are going to be broken, this is our business. It's our business. So if you hear it, May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give. وَعَلَى مَرْضَى الْمُسْلِمِينَ بِالشَّفَاءِ وَالرَّاحَةِ. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give relief and wellness to those people that are sick. Now, how do you become well as a responsibility to the Imam? So my responsibility to the Imam is to get well, to get rid of my disease, so I'm going to concentrate for my BP to go down. My cholesterol level is going to go down because I'm going to do mind over matter, I'm going to make myself healthy. Your responsibility and my responsibility to the Imam is our spiritual health. And Imam wants the spiritual and the physical health of all of us. If you are close to him, he's praying for you today. You know that? He will be praying. This is his dua. So maybe he even is going to recite this dua tonight. Right? He's going to be asking for wellness for the people who are ill. You know when you say, أَمَّا يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ, the sixth Imam says that the embodiment of that ayah, who is the most distressed, is the Imam of the time. When you're reciting this ayah, remember the Imam of the time because he is the most distressed. وَعَلَى مَوْتَاهُمْ بِالرَّأْفَةِ وَالرَّحْمَةِ, and the ones who pass away, for them to be mercy and compassion. وَعَلَى مَشَايِخِنَا بِالْوَقَارِ وَالسَّكِينَةِ. And the ones that are old, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now the people who are old, this is your responsibility. The young responsibility will come, okay? So if you don't consider yourself old, but you are old, it's still, right? Some people don't consider themselves old even when they are like 70, but okay, we are old. When we have white hair in our beard, we're getting closer to, we lived half of our life or more of that, we are old. So Imam is saying that the elderly, for them to have dignity and tranquility. Sakina means like terao. Sakina means when you look at the pond and there is no ripple. You see that? Have you seen a pond? There's no ripple. It's like clear. An old person should be like that pond, clear and calm. When a young man comes and throws a pebble in it, don't have ripples. Don't get upset right away. Upsetting right away is a person who's young. If their blood is hot and their hormones are going and their blood is rushing in their veins. For an old person who has come to that age, a person should be calm. It's like, it's okay, my brother, it's okay, my daughter, it's okay, my son. That today, if the old are becoming more and more angry, how dare you? No, we're closer to our death now. We're right here in the grave. We need to have sakina, terao. It's okay, you know. He's a young person. It's okay. No worries. I mean, how many things I have done in my life. It's okay. Let it go. And have dignity. Have dignity. وَعَلَى الشَّبَابِ بِالْإِنَابَةِ وَالْتَوْبَةِ. And for the youth, for them to be able to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to ask for forgiveness. To go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask for forgiveness. Go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have 5 minutes, so I'll just tell you one story and we'll finish it. A young man came from Tehran to Ayatul Abajit and he said in front of the crowd, I want to talk to you. He's like, first of all, he's like talking like this. And the people around him is like, you know, Agha, calm down, you're talking to Agha Bajit. No, I want to talk to him right now. I've come all the way from Tehran, I need to talk to him. He said, what is it? He says, I do a lot of sins and I cannot stop myself. I want you to tell me how to stop myself from sinning. So Agha is like, you know, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, do your prayers. He's like, I cannot do any of that. In front of everybody. This is Waqar here and Sakina in an old man. He's an Ayatullah, he's a Marjai Taqleed. And a young man is coming and repeatedly, while the audience can know that this is actually disrespect to him. He says, Agha, you can come and see me on one-on-one and I can tell you. And this young man goes inside The person who's narrating, he said, I was at the door. When he comes out, I asked him, what did he say? He said, I kept on telling him, I cannot do this, I cannot do this, I cannot do this. Then in the end, he said, okay, if you sin, just make sure you do one thing. Ask for forgiveness right away. As a young person, are you not going to sin? It's possible. I mean, we are weak, we are going to fall. Right? There are so many things that are coming and being bombarded that our elders do not know. When my brother and sister goes to the high school, if my elders could be in their shoes for one day, they will not survive. One day. If they are in the shoes of my brothers and sisters who go to the university, they could not survive for 2 hours. And somebody survives for more than 2 hours, I'm trying to get your mind to that time frame. You don't know what they have to face. So even if you fall, inaba and tawbah, return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves tawwabin, the people who go back again and again and again and again towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's okay, if you sinned, it's okay. Ask for forgiveness. Oh Allah, forgive me. If you do not forgive me tonight, if you have not forgiven me for the last 15 days of this month, then forgive me tonight. One of the du'as of Shaban says that. If we do not get forgiven in this holy month, okay, we have another opportunity in my Ramadan. But if we sin, okay, ask for forgiveness. Go towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not delay it. Because what he said to that young man, if that young man was to do that, eventually he'll come to the point and be embarrassed. That, you know, why do I keep on doing the same thing over and over again? And I keep on going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I should have some shame and stop doing that. Remember, when you do a mistake to somebody and you ask for forgiveness and they forgive you, and then you do the same thing and they say it's okay, and then the third time they say it's okay, and the fourth time they say it's okay, you come to a point where you say, you know what, my shame dictates me, my dignity dictates me, that I should not do this again to that person. So remember, ponder, think, ask for forgiveness. Want something else other than what we've been wanting from the Imam of the time. He is truly a blessing for all of humanity, not just us. Become his representatives so that you can have your character to be shown to others. Ask the Imam of the time to give you that character tonight. Ask him to give you tawbah, to give you inaba, to give you joy, to give you struggle, to give you raghbah, to give you sakina, to give you tawfiq of ta'ah, to have you stay away from haram, to know what is haram, to have your tongues and my tongues to say, you know, to refrain from saying things that are wrong. Ask all of that Imam is asking, and if you are asking the same thing and Imam is asking the same thing, and you take these as your responsibilities, things can change. When you say, please come sooner, remember that. If we keep on doing the same things over and over again, the rule of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's insane. And if we've been doing that for the last 1,200 years, this is insanity. If every generation does that, this is insanity. Let's not do that. Let's tonight be the night where some of us are going to come up and be different than the rest of us. And maybe they can be worthy for the Imam of the time to come. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep him safe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be his helper. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the ability and the patience to be able to deal with all the stress. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be the one who helps him in every single step that he takes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him in the morning. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him at night. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity to become his slaves and his followers. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.
Thank you, Shaykh. Inshallah, we have just a couple minutes before Salat time starts, so please take this time to make preparations. Inshallah, just a reminder that after dinner, short a'mal for the night of 15th Shaban starts at 10 o'clock.